everybody, CW here. I got a couple of gauges. I've had these for a while, but I don't think I've ever shown them on the channel. They're rimfire thickness gauges. They're made by a company called Raven Eye. I got a 22 Magnum over here, 17 HMR and 22 Magnum version because they're a little bit thicker. And they work with two different style gauges. I like it with the dial caliper or the dial gauge, but you can run it with a dial caliper as well. It goes in the back here, and then it reads to the top here, and you run it off the base of the case. And I just don't like it as much. This is a lot better. And you can pick up gauges. You don't need the super high dollar ones. This is a pretty expensive one. This one came on the Reading concentricity gauge. So this is a little more expensive one. But you can get like a $20 one off eBay, and it'll do what you need it to do. We're not, making parts for the going to the moon. It's basically a strong, consistent, accurate reference. And I'm just giving it a little bit of a spin here. If you torque it, it'll really move. But you'll see, usually you get about a quarter to a half a thousandths change. Now that big jump you saw there was me. That's me torquing the case, the cartridge. And you set it where you want. You know how these work. You loosen this up and you set it on 0 just so you have a reference. And you don't need to. You can try and remember what it's set on. It's just easier to set it on 0 on the first one. And then the way these work, you just push and hold this up to load and unload your cases. And what you're doing is you're checking the rim thickness. And the rim thickness is a big variable on rimfire because it determines your headspace. The headspace comes off the rim, and when your rims are all different thicknesses, your distance from the lands changes and your headspace changes. So it makes a big difference when you're really trying to search out that little bit, eke out that little bit of extra accuracy when you're shooting a really accurate rifle or barrel. It helps quite a bit. And then you just get yourself some cups or something to hold the bullets, and you run through and you separate them. You get a whole box and you separate them all, and you shoot those all at one group, and you'll see the difference. It's something that you can really tell what your rifle likes, what your chamber likes, as well as what's just going to shoot better. You may find a couple of them shoot good and a couple of them don't. So it's not like only one thickness is going to be perfect. Your barrel is totally its own entity in what it likes and dislikes. But it allows you to segregate. It allows you to get consistency. And as I've always said, consistency is key for accuracy. So this is just one way of doing it. And then other thing that I'm doing here is I'm running the diameters. Now, this is a tough one to read, but these are actually really good. These are the Federal Target Grade, the Match Auto, and they're surprisingly consistent. These bullets run almost all right on 223, 2235, 223, 2235. This is 1235. This is 2235. And what I've got over here is a die. This is made from a guy in Michigan, and it's a copy on the Waltz die because Neil Waltz just isn't available. You can't get a hold of him. He's in Ohio. I've heard that he's an old timer, and he just doesn't do electronics. And I've heard of guys that have gotten some of his stuff, the Waltz die, but I don't know how he sells them because I can't get a hold of him. Anyway, so I found this guy on eBay. He's in Michigan, and I picked up his die, and it works the same way. And talking to him, he made this because he wasn't able to get a Waltz die, and he wanted something to do the same thing. And what this does is it'll bump the bullet and increase the diameter to a consistent level. It's bored to, I believe, 225, So when you put your bullet in and just squeeze it like that, what you've done is you've bumped it up in diameter to be consistent and round. I've also got it set to make an EPS point. What exactly the EPS point does is it cuts a little better, it flies a little truer for the short ranges on rimfire stuff. And then we check the measurement here, and you'll see that it's come up about 0.02 to just over 225, or right at 225. And then that combined with the thicknesses gives you, a way to segregate and sort your ammo for better accuracy. So it's a rainy day. I got that on-shoot 64 down on the bench. We're going to be going to the range with that. And we're just going through some ammo here today. Watching some fishing videos, getting ready for fishing season. And I'm sizing 223 bullets. It's a pretty nice nose it gives it. Let me see if I can zoom you in here. It's called an EPS point, and it's flat and a little button on it. Sorry for the focus there. Pretty neat. And here is this close-up of this gauge again. And I'll show you again how it works. It gives you a little shelf and a little step in there. Sorry, I just grabbed a bullet. And you just drop the bullet in here like this. And then the ball for your caliper, for your dial, sits right on the rim. And then you can read it to what it's set. See, this one is a little shy. Now we're going to spin it. I'm spinning the case, and you can see about a 0.5 thousandths, 1/4 thousandths, about a 0.5 thousandths. And that's the difference, the unsquareness, as you spin that case in there. And then you just throw it in the pile for the thickness that it falls to, and you go through all of them, you sort them out, and you will see a difference in your accuracy of your loads. Now we can measure these with a more accurate dial too. It's just harder to read, but it is, of course, more accurate. Now, when you're doing this, you got to be careful what you have your part on, because if you're on the brass case, you're not going to be measuring what you want to be measuring. Now we're just on the brass case, and we'll see if we can get you to focus here on what we've got for a measurement. So there's 1, 2, 3, 224, almost on the button for the diameter of that case. So we go out here to the bullet, and now we're going to stay off that band. And then we've got a good focus there, but I got to turn it so we can read it. We've got 1, 2, 3, and a little more. So let's run it through the die and see if we bump that up at all. I know I'm zoomed in on you, but I'll try and keep a little bit of here and push it up in there. And it's got a brass shell holder so that it doesn't, hopefully, be harder than the rim, so it reduces the chances that we have a firing, have an ignition, because that would be pretty bad. Now we get it in there, and we get a measurement again. We want to make sure we're off that first band, and then we got here, look at here, we're on the band. So there's 2, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 2-5, 2-6, 2-7, 2-8, but we're on that band. That band tends to really bump up that driving band. We get off that driving band and we'll get a truer measurement. That band really bumps up. But we actually didn't, did we? Where are we? Where's our measurement? Yeah, we did. So there's 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4. Right? Just over 224. And that's on the bullet. So that's what this does. Now you can adjust that. I can make it bump more. Not a lot, because you're going to fill that diameter that's in there. You can only go as much as the diameter that's in this die. But you can turn this down, the stem, call it your seating stem, and you can impart a bigger, flatter nose. It will bump diameter farther up the bullet, but it's a point of no return, or a point of fewer returns. The squeeze isn't worth the result isn't worth the squeeze. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, as they say. You're not really doing much. So you want to set this die so that you get a good diameter along the base without deforming that nose too much. Now, some bullets won't form as well as others, so you have to be careful of that setting. But we're starting out with a round nose bullet. Just a regular old, you know what these look like, auto match round nose bullet. There we go. We'll put it in the die. Sorry, I bumped the camera. I'm a little too close for you guys to see. Put it in the die. Run it up into the die there, and we get that, just that little bit. That's all I'm doing. Now it's going to change for different bullets. I've got this set for these auto matches, and I had to turn it up a little from the better quality bullets that I was just doing. I was just doing RCBS rifle match, and those didn't need as much because they're just a little more precision of a bullet. But there we go. It gives you a nice tip, and you've seen how the diameter, it bumps up the diameter. There we go. All right, guys. I'm going to continue on checking my rim thicknesses and increasing my diameters, hoping to make some cheap bullets into better shooters. Because, well, number one, rimfire is pretty expensive these days, and good stuff, whatever you consider good stuff, Ely, SK, there's a number of big brands out there, is not so easy to get a hold of. And when you do find it, it's pretty expensive. So for the majority of what you're doing, it might be worth it to you to pick yourself up one of these gauges or somebody like it. Again, this is a Raven Eye Custom. There's other ones out there. You can go out and check out places like Rimfire Central. The forums over there will give you lots of good information. And sort out your lesser quality bullets. Pick up this die off of eBay. Neil Waltz die, if you can find one of those used. Payco Kelly has another tool that'll bump up diameters. There's a number of companies out there that offer this, and you'll see a positive result in your rimfire accuracy. All right, everybody. God bless. CW out.